I take a look.
Oh, I know.
Here, just hand it to me.
Yeah.
Do fathers have a favorite child? Yeah.
And then the clothes began to insinuate themselves into the hall, and another week and it had passed, and he still hadn't cleaned anything, and he was sleeping, he was walking around in the same gym shorts, with no shirt on, just wandering around the house, just scavenging, and finally after the third week, I finally said, "Hey, Dylan, do you think you could..." He touched the cord here. Can't tell if you're laughing or crying.
Alright, so let me talk to you about my daughter. My daughter is so much like her dad that when I look at her, I am simultaneously charmed and horrified.
So I say, "Dylan, I got an idea. Maybe your Father's Day, you could clean up your clothes." That's the definition of a small, pathetic idea. He said, "Dad, I know. I said, "All right, I'm done." So, Father's Day Eve, and you've never said that before. I am asleep in my bed. It's about 11:30 at night. And suddenly, I'm awakened by my son, who's on his knees by my bedside, shaking me. He said, Dad. I was like, what? I said, Dad. What is it, Dylan? Dad, don't look out your window until the morning. Don't look out the window until the morning, Dad, okay? He's gone. I said, was that a dream? I was asleep. I had no intention of looking out the window. It's dark out there. What abomination is waiting for me out there? I lie awake all night. The sun comes up. I look out my back window, and there are his clothes in the backyard. But it's an art installment. Across the backyard, he's taken his shirts and his t-shirts, his underwear and his jeans, and he's spread them out. He's arranged them. And there in the backyard, spread across the whole backyard, it says, Happy Pappy Day.
And that kind of stuff. So, I tell my kids useful things right away. Like I tell my kids, don't get too attached to balloons. And balloons are one of those things that you don't think about when you're a non-parent, unless you're like in the balloon industry. You just don't think about balloons until you become a parent, and then suddenly balloons are an integral part of your life. They're always there. Kids are going to parties, they're bringing the balloons home. And it's like, we were downtown at this festival in town, in Charleston, and West Virginia, and there was a clown, and he had the big long stretchy balloons, and my son was probably 7 at the time, and my daughter was maybe 4, and he says to my children, would you like me to make you some kind of balloon animal? And my children say yes, and the clown says, what kind of balloon animal would you like? And my son has never answered a question with the simplest answer ever once in his life, because he was born by my wife. And it's a good answer, it's just never brief. And so the clown says, what kind of animal would you like? And my son said, I would like an octopus. And you can see the clown thinking, I have made a poor career decision. He was a trooper, and he poured out a whole handful of balloons, and he stretched them, and he blew them up, and he handed this thing to my son that looked remarkably like an octopus, and my son looked at it, and you can't get anything by my son, he's so sharp, and he looked at it, and he says, this only has 6 legs. And the clown said, it's a sextopus. And that satisfied my son, that was satisfactory. But then the helpful Yahoo behind us goes,
I believe the word is sextopus.
And one night, I walked in my daughter's bedroom and I realized, just like, it finally dawned on me that every night she'd been listening to one of my CDs. And I was so proud, and I was so happy, and then she listened to them for a long time, like night after night, and finally I went in and I was like, honey, I have other CDs. If you would like to listen to a different CD, and she said, no, Daddy, really, I can't fall asleep. And I was like, she's like, I can't fall asleep if I listen to anything interesting.
When we bought our house in scenic Lynn, Massachusetts, that's where I'm from, Lynn, Massachusetts, and when we bought our house many years ago, there was no door on my daughter's bedroom, and we bought her what I call an accordion door. And if you don't know what an accordion door is, this is your lucky day, because I'm going to describe it to you. An accordion door has aluminum runners at the top with little squeaky wheels that roll across the aluminum runners, and it folds up like this, like an accordion, and over here in the middle, on the side, it has kind of a combination door handle magnet thing. And then I suppose if your dad is more mechanically inclined than my daughter's dad is, you could have an aluminum runner on the bottom too. But hers just kind of flaps down there. I told her I designed it that way so the cat could come in and out. I was lying about that, I just couldn't figure out how to do it. That's the kind of door she's had on her bedroom since she was a little kid. And when she was a teenager, in her mind, it was this close to child abuse, the fact that her parents removed from her her God-given, constitutionally guaranteed right and privilege to be able to slam her bedroom door. After she was done screaming at her parents. So I can see you know it all with me on this. Here, let me elaborate. When my daughter was 17 and a half, her and her mother would fight like two animals. I would know it was them, and I know they'd be speaking English, but to me it sounded like someone had turned the Nature Channel up loud for my television. In another room, I would hear these animal noises. And then it would abruptly end. And they would each go to separate ends of the house, leaving me and the dog cowering on the couch. What I like to refer to as the angry estro silence. And God, I know exactly what love is. Love is real, simple, and true. Love is this feeling of my heart gets when I'm being held close by you. And God, love is real simple. Love is real simple. Love is real simple and true. Please welcome back to the stage, Bill Lepp and Bill Harley. All right, here's one. What goes wrong when mom goes away?
Nothing.
Everything's fine.
Things run smoother than ever.
So, my mother-in-law bought my daughter a tutu, but it was broken. And you think, oh, how can a tutu be broken? Well, you know, it's like the swimsuity thing, and then you put it on, and it didn't matter what you did to it, iron, starch, nails, it would just go like that. So my daughter comes downstairs in this you. And then like rainbow tights and cowboy boots and a Doctor Who scarf and hair that hadn't been combed since Mom left. And the makeup that she put on yesterday. And she said, "Can I go to the post office dressed like this?" And I said, "I don't care." And she said, "Mommy wouldn't let me go to the post office dressed like this." And I said, "Where's Mommy?" She said, "Mommy's in Miami." So we went to the post office. About 3 days later, my wife came home. She went to the post office. Downtown, and the postmistress said to her, "Have you been out of town?"
Every night at bedtime, my husband decides it is a good time to rile the children up. Every night he seems surprised that this does not end well. Why?
I don't understand that question. Oh, you get to answer it again.
Every night at bedtime. I have a very sensitive child who cannot bear to have even a worn-out sock thrown away. How do you get rid of his old things? Stuffed animals have taken over his room.
I think Bill has the answer to that. I think he's already answered it.
Get that kid interested in balloons.
Here's the thing about being a parent. It's messy. When you get in the middle of it, and you know what you have to do, and you don't feel like doing it, and at the moment you're doing it, you don't have love in your heart, you're just doing it because that's what you do. But now I know it's the action of being a parent, being a father, being a mother, that's the clearest expression of love.